Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Speak English Naturally. I'm Sam.
And I'm Ella. We're so happy to have you join us today. We're going to talk about something very important for all of you learning English, especially if you're at an A2 level.
That's right, Ella. Today we're going to discuss 10, that's T-E-N, 10 common English mistakes that A2 level learners often make. And don't worry, we're here to help you understand them and stop making them.
Exactly. We'll speak slowly and clearly, giving you lots of examples. So let's jump right into our first common mistake.
Okay, mistake number 1. Using say instead of tell when you mention the person you are speaking to. For example, some people might say, "He said me a secret."
Yes, he said me a secret. This is a very common mistake. The correct way to say this is, he told me a secret. You use tell when you mention the person who received the information.
That's right. So if you say he said, you don't usually mention the person directly after it. You might say, he said that he was tired, but if you mention the person, use tell. For example, she told me her name. Or, can you tell me the time?
So remember, say and tell. If you mention the person, use tell. If you don't mention the person, you can use say. Let's repeat. He told me a secret, not he said me a secret.
Excellent. Moving on to mistake number 2. Make versus do. This one can be tricky because in some languages there's only one verb, but in English we have both make and do.
Indeed, a common mistake is, I need to make my homework, or, are you making the dishes?
Those are good examples, Ella. The correct way is, I need to do my homework, and are you doing the dishes? Generally, we use do for tasks, activities, or obligations, like do the laundry, do the shopping, do exercise.
And we use make for creating or producing something. For example, make a cake, make a decision, make a noise. You are producing something new or completing something creative.
Exactly. So, do your homework, do your job, but make a plan, make a sandwich. It takes practice, but you'll get it. Repeat after us. I do my homework. I make a cake.
Great! Our third common mistake is confusing good and well. Someone might say, I speak English good.
Ah, yes, I speak English good. This is very common. Good is an adjective. It describes a noun. For example, this is a good book, or she is a good student.
That's right. And well is an adverb. It describes a verb. It tells you how something is done. So the correct sentence is, I speak English well. How do you speak English? You speak English well.
Another example, he is a good singer. Good describes the noun singer, but he sings well. Well describes the verb singings. So remember, if you're describing an action, use well.
Practice saying, I speak English well, and he sings well. It makes a big difference in how natural you sound.
All right, mistake number 4, much versus many.
A classic. We often hear, there are much people here.
Yes, much people. This is incorrect. The rule is simple. Use many with countable nouns. Countable nouns are things you can count, like people, books, chairs. You can count one person, 2 people, 3 people.
Exactly, and use much with uncountable nouns. These are things you cannot count individually, like water, information, money, time. You don't say 1 water, 2 waters in the same way.
So the correct sentence is, there are many people here. And you would say, I don't have much money. Or, do you have much time?
Great explanation, Ella. So remember, many for things you can count, much for things you cannot count. Let's try many friends, much sugar. See the difference?
Perfect. Now for mistake number 5, borrow versus lend. This is another pair that causes confusion. For example, can I lend your pen? Oh yes, can I lend your pen? No, no, no. Borrow means to take something from someone with the intention of returning it. So, you borrow something.
And lend means to give something to someone for a short time, expecting them to return it. So the person who gives is lending, and the person who takes is borrowing.
So, the correct way to ask is, can I borrow your pen? And the other person might say, yes, I can lend you my pen. Remember, you borrow from someone and you lend to someone.
Let's repeat that. Can I borrow your book, not can I lend your book? And I can lend you some money. This is a very useful distinction to learn.
Absolutely. Now for mistake number 6. Prepositions of time, in, on, and at. We often hear things like, I meet you at Sunday, or my birthday is on July.
These prepositions can be tricky. Let's clarify. We use on for specific days and dates. For example, I meet you on Sunday, or my birthday is on July 15th.
That's right. And we use in for longer periods of time, months, seasons, and years. So, my birthday is in July, or I like to travel in summer. The event happened in 2023.
And finally, at is for specific times. For example, the meeting is at 3 p.m., or I usually wake up at 7 o'clock. Think of at as a very precise point in time.
So, to recap, on Sunday in July at 3 p.m., it's about getting the size of the time period right. Try saying these with us. I will see you on Friday. My vacation is in August. Let's meet at noon.
Fantastic! Our 7th mistake is about subject-verb agreement, specifically with he, she, and it in the present simple. A common error is he like pizza.
Yes, he liked pizza. This is a very fundamental mistake. In the present simple tense, for he, she, and it, the third person singular, you must add an says to the verb. So it should be, he likes pizza.
That's correct. Other examples are, she go to school should be she goes to school, and it rain a lot should be it rains a lot. Remember that sound for he, she, and it.
It's a small change, but it's very important for correct grammar. So, he watches TV, she reads books. It always helps. Practice that sound at the end of the verb.
Okay, mistake number 8. Confusing the present simple and present continuous. Sometimes we hear, I am living here always, or I go to school now.
These are great examples of mixing up the tenses. The present simple is for habits, routines, and facts. For example, I always live here, or I go to school every day. It's something that is generally true or happens regularly.
And the present continuous, using ams or verbing, is for actions happening right now, at this moment, or temporary situations. So, I am going to school now is correct if you are walking to school at this very moment.
Another example, I usually drink coffee. Present simple, a habit, but I am drinking tea right now. Present continuous, happening now. So, the time word often gives you a clue. Always, every day, usually for simple, now, right now, at the moment for continuous.
So remember, I work every day, but I am working right now. Pay attention to the action's timing. It makes a big difference.
Let's talk about mistake number 9. Fun versus funny. People sometimes say, the party was very funny.
The party was very funny. While a party can be funny, usually you mean something else. Fun means enjoyable, pleasant, or entertaining. So if you enjoyed the party, it was fun.
Exactly. Funny means something that makes you laugh. So if the party had a lot of jokes, or something silly happened that made everyone laugh, then it was funny. But if you just had a good time, it was fun.
So a clown is funny because he makes you laugh. A roller coaster is fun because it's enjoyable. Do you see the difference? Try saying it was a fun movie and the comedian was very funny.
That's a great distinction. And finally, our 10th common mistake. Listen versus hear. Some learners say, I listen music.
Yes, I listen music. This is almost correct, but it's missing something very important. Listen is an action. It means you are paying attention to sounds, and it almost always needs the preposition to after it when you mention what you are listening to.
That's right. So the correct way is, I listen to music. Or, are you listening to me? You actively choose to listen. You direct your attention.
And hear means that sounds simply come to your ears without you necessarily paying attention. For example, I can hear birds singing outside. Or, did you hear that noise? You didn't try to hear it, the sound just entered your ears.
So remember, listen to for active attention, hear for passive reception of sound. Let's practice. I like to listen to podcasts. I suddenly heard a loud bang.
Excellent. And that brings us to the end of our 10 common English mistakes for A2 level learners. We hope these explanations and examples were clear and helpful.
We really do. Remember, making mistakes is a natural part of learning. The most important thing is to learn from them and keep practicing. Don't be afraid to try.
And a great way to practice is by engaging with us. Please leave a comment below. Tell us which mistake you found most helpful, or share another common mistake you've noticed.
Yes, your comments help us understand what you need. And if you enjoyed this episode, please hit that like button. It helps our channel grow and reach more learners like you.
And of course, if you haven't already, please subscribe to Speak English Naturally. We have new lessons and tips coming out regularly to help you speak English more confidently and naturally.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Keep practicing, keep learning, and remember to speak English naturally.
See you next time. Bye for now.